Hi guys, today's YouTube video is all about fear. Now I'm not going to be talking about phobias or what happens after traumatic events or anything like that, but what I'm going to be talking about in the context of fear is when big change is coming and what happens when we become afraid and how we can kind of keep moving forward and really what is the positive results for facing our fears and continuing to move forward. So a few years ago, I actually got a book that said, "What would you do if you weren't afraid?" And the title is what caught me and really started to get me thinking about when are the times that I live my life in fear versus when are the times that I face my fear and keep moving forward. And how fear really changes our life. And it's okay to be afraid. It's not okay to let fear paralyze us. Oftentimes we can learn from our fear, and the reality is that sometimes our fear can protect us. It's the moments that we let it kind of control us, make decisions for us, or paralyze us that really makes a difference. And I've talked about fear in context of relationships when we get into that like flooding sense and we go into fight or flight, that we lose peripheral vision, we lose our ability to hear, and we lose our ability to want to empathize or compromise. And so we just shut down. So when we're afraid, sometimes we make those decisions based off of in fight or flight where we're really not thinking clearly anyways. And, because we have this peripheral vision and we can't hear, in those moments what we're doing is we're making decisions to try and find safety instead of really making clear decisions. And so you've got to ask yourself, like, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? What's on the other side of fear? And if you kind of just think about, like, what am I really afraid of? And what would happen if I jumped into my fear? So these are some reflection questions that you ask yourself when you're really kind of in this place of thinking about being afraid. I know times before in my own life, especially when a big change I know is coming, what I do, first of all, when I recognize that I'm afraid about something, whether I'm afraid of, maybe whatever the big change is, I have to kind of sit back and reflect and say, am I living my life based out of fear, or, am I living my life kind of pushing the limits of my comfort zones to really find out what's on the other side of it? And that's the thing. We've got to understand what's really going on for us and how we can kind of face those fears so we can really get the life that we want. When we're able to acknowledge that we're afraid, it does help us kind of understand what's going on in the moments and what we can do instead. That's what's on the other side of fear. And if you think about it, in your life, when you have faced your fear and you kept moving forward, what's happened? You've learned something about yourself. You've actually got to where you wanted to go. Or if you failed or made a mistake, you still got to where you wanted to go. A lot of times we're afraid because we're afraid of failure or afraid of making mistakes. So we stay stuck either in indecision or we stay stuck, paralyzed in the current life that we're in. And we don't get to where we're going. Our dreams aren't accomplished. Or we listen to the self-doubt that either we're putting in on ourselves or that other people are telling us. We start to believe another story that really isn't happening. When we believe in ourselves, so even if we hear that voice of self-doubt, what's something else we can say? If you only read a book and read one side of the page, the book wouldn't make any sense. And a lot of times when we're afraid, it's like, oh, we only want to read one side. We don't want to look at all the possibilities. Look at all the possibilities. There's other things that can happen besides failure or making a mistake. There could also be success and just a whole bunch of other possibilities in the in-between. Emily Fletcher, who wrote the book Stress Less, Accomplish More, she talks about the difference between fear and our intuition. And in my version or my interpretation, it's a huge difference. Fear, and this is what she says, fear keeps us stuck and fear doesn't let us grow. Our intuition helps us grow and it sets us on the path that we're actually truly meant to live. And that has always been mindset has always been so helpful. My intuition, your intuition helps guide you. And sometimes if you don't really know of, is this fear or is this intuition, think about that. You know, if I go over here, is that keeping me stuck or paralyzed? Whereas if I go over here, is it helping me grow into a path that is really meant for me? And again, the reflective questions that I mentioned earlier is, what's on the other side of this? What would happen if I did jump into fear? Or what's my fear reminding me of? Oftentimes it's, what do I really want? You know, it's how can I learn from this moment? And what are some things that I can start doing to put one foot in front of the other to see where it takes me? And when you're in the midst of making these changes, even when you're uncomfortable, what are ways that you can take care of yourself when you're in that like discomfort? It's, you know, find things that bring joy into your life. Understand and say to yourself, like, I'm uncomfortable and that's okay. What are the things that help refuel and re-energize? You know, what are your hobbies? Who are you surrounding in your life that are gonna help motivate you and continue to help push you forward? Who are the people that are gonna help you up when you fall down? Identifying those people and also identifying the things that you know help you grow or help you cope when you're kind of in the midst of that uncomfortable, I'm afraid, but I'm moving forward anyways. Those are the things that you can do to help you as you continue to move forward. And I know I've said it in another video, but it's, remember that you have survived your worst so far. Even if you're in the midst of, like, my life is really horrible right now, you're surviving. And remember to breathe, and that whatever obstacle hits you, even when you're in that place of fear, know that you're gonna keep moving forward, because I'm gonna tell you that you believe in yourself. You know, remember to say, like, I am enough, I'm of value, I believe in myself. So, you know, one foot in front of the other, and it does help you face your fears and keep moving forward. So as you listen to this video, what I want you to do is I want you to get out a piece of paper, and I want you to write down write down first, what am I afraid of? You know, what sort of big change is maybe coming that I'm not quite sure I want to face yet? Ask yourself, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? What's on the other side of fear? If I jump in, what are some things that are really maybe a block for me right now that I want to kind of start planning for? Who are the people in my life that are going to help me, motivate me, support me? What are the things that I like to do to find joy, or hobbies, or just distractions while I'm moving forward? And, you know, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? So as you write those down, take some time and really reflect, answer them and reflect, and know that you've already started the journey of facing your fears and moving forward. I'm going to put a link to a book that I highly recommend. It's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyways. It's got some good techniques and some other good questions to ask while you're in this place of fear. All right, and remember, most importantly, believe in yourself. All right, guys, hope you have a great day.